Hey, what's up gentlemen and ladies? So with all of the recent Kingdom Hearts news, people have really been focusing on that game, and Square Enix themselves have kind of been pushing for it, which don't get me wrong, that makes a lot of sense since that is the major title that they're going to be releasing this year, but that kind of left me thinking about Square's other major title that they're still working on, perhaps the biggest game that they have announced in years. I am of course talking about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's right, Square's best-selling game of all time, one of the best-selling games of all time just period, and a legend among video games. It seems that people, and to a degree Square themselves, have kind of forgotten about this game. Now, I know that we got some concept art for it not too long ago, but that's actually the first time that we've seen anything for this game since March 2017. And back then, all we got was 2 screenshots. Think about it, the last time that we actually saw Final Fantasy VII footage was in 2015. 3 years ago. Now, like I said, I get that they want to focus on Kingdom Hearts 3 since that is the game that's coming out first, but I just can't help but think about the status of Final Fantasy VII right now. If you think about it, up until like mid last year, we almost always saw the 2 games together. They both showed up at E3 2015. Kingdom Hearts 3 was at TGS in November, and then Final Fantasy VII was at the PSX in December. And then we got screenshots for both games at Magic 2017 in March, but then Kingdom Hearts 3 showed up at like E3 and the D23s, and FF7 just kind of stopped showing up. Now, I've mentioned why in the past. This isn't news. Final Fantasy VII's change of development teams from an external one to an internal one, Business Division 1 to be exact, set back development heavily. Tetsuya Nomura even revealed in interviews last year that many parts of FF7 were actually further along in development than KH3, leading me to believe that up until recently, they hadn't decided which of the 2 they wanted to focus on and release first. However, FF7 changing dev teams pretty much killed its chances of coming out anytime soon, so focus then shifted to KH3, and FF7 was just kind of like put on the back burner. I bring this up because it's very unlikely that we're gonna get the Final Fantasy VII Remake next year if Kingdom Hearts 3 does end up coming out in 2018, which means that the earliest we're gonna get this game is 2020, and that's just because Square kind of needs time to properly market the game. Usually, about a year and a couple of months before it's set to come out is a good time to start. However, if the game was coming out in 2019, that would make that time the middle of this year, which would be a terrible idea because Kingdom Hearts 3 would be at peak advertisement since it's presumably gonna come out sometime between like September and November. But that's not even taking into consideration the fact that the game's director is basically not even touching the project right now because it is none other than Tetsuya Nomura, director of Kingdom Hearts 3. And for him to be working on Final Fantasy VII when he has a game coming out this year would just be stupid. Wait, hold on. A big console Final Fantasy game that a lot of people have been wanting to see set aside to work on Kingdom Hearts. Why does this sound familiar? Oh yeah! Final Fantasy Versus XIII. So for those of you that don't know, part of the reason why Final Fantasy Versus XIII, now Final Fantasy XV, took so damn long to come out was because for a big part of the time that it was in quote-unquote development, it wasn't actually in development. Tetsuya Nomura, who at the time was the lead director, writer, character designer, and pretty much one-man development team for this game, kept getting distracted by none other than the Kingdom Hearts fanbase, who were begging Nomura to release Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, since working on a major title while you already have another major title director role is a stupid idea that nobody would ever do, all Nomura did instead was work on side games for the handhelds like the DS, PSP, 3DS, and mobile phones, which is why we ended up with all those Kingdom Hearts side games. Ironically, if the fans had just let Nomura finish Versus 13, then he could have gotten to working on Kingdom Hearts 3 a lot sooner, but I guess they were just that impatient. Man, I still remember like back in 2013 when I would actually have to argue to Kingdom Hearts fans why yearly releases for that series were a terrible idea, and why Kingdom Hearts 3 had no chance of coming out before Final Fantasy XV. Yes, those were actual arguments that I had to make. I also had to argue to people why Kingdom Hearts 3 was not going to come out in 2015. And people asked me why I hated the Kingdom Hearts fanbase. Everyone forgets just how dumb they used to be. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. How does this relate to the Final Fantasy VII Remake? Well, the fact that Nomura is focusing heavily on Kingdom Hearts 3 basically means that we can forget about FF7 actually continuing proper development until at the very least early 2019. Now, I get that Nomura doesn't doesn't really like to show off too much of his game, so we can't get like a real good idea of how far along in development this game is, but judging by the fact that we have only seen quote-unquote gameplay for this game once, and that was 3 years ago, and the fact that they're still releasing concept art as previews for this game, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that they're not very far along in development, at least not now that they had to scrap like half of the game when they changed dev teams. So what could this mean for the release of the game? 2021? 2022? This is getting kind of ridiculous, guys. That's like 6 to 7 years after the original announcement, way more than Kingdom Hearts 3, which only took 5. By then, the PS4 is gonna be like on its 7th, 8th year. That's around the time that the PS3 got replaced with the PS4. Could we be looking at the possibility of a PS5 by then? Wow, a major Square Enix Final Fantasy game directed by Tetsuya Nomura that got pushed back because he was working on Kingdom Hearts and might end up being on a next generation console than the one that it was originally announced for. I swear, something about this entire situation sounds really familiar to me. Could it be? And you know, this is just speculation on my part, but could it be that after all of these years, Square, and specifically Nomura, still haven't learned their lesson? In particular, I'm talking about in terms of game announcements. Every single one of these games has been announced way too early. If you don't have any actual gameplay to show off for the game, it's too early. If you don't have the main team that's gonna work on it actually working on it yet because they're busy with another game, it's too early. If the first and only thing that you have worked on for the game is its reveal cinematic, it's too early. If you're still years away from releasing another game that you're already directing, it's too damn early. I don't know why Square has this obsession with revealing games like the month that they start working on them. You guys remember how when the FF7 Remake reveal trailer was first shown off like internally at Square Enix to the employees and Nomura first saw his name on the credits? That is the moment that he found out he was gonna be working on the project. That's bad. That's like really bad, because that means that they made the cinematic teaser trailer which they were ready to show off to the entire world before the director of the damn game even knew that it existed. In what world is that a good method of developing games? Now, I'm gonna stop myself before I go into like full-on rage mode, but this has to stop. Like, Square needs to learn how to keep their games until they actually have substantial things to show off. I mean, you wanna talk about dry news? It's gotten to the point where sometimes FF7 or Kingdom Hearts 3 would have quiet years, like literal years with no mention of them. But I guess, who am I to judge? I'm just an idiot on the internet with a microphone, right? Be sure to let me know what you guys think about this whole deal in the comments. Like, how would you suggest that Square handle the whole FF7 remake situation? Or what should they do to prevent this kind of stuff from happening in the future? I would really be interested in what you guys have to say, but I guess either way, that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to blitz that like button, subscribe, and as always, stay tuned, Kupo.